Before we start the tutorial, big thanks to everyone who watched and commented on the last one. It means a lot to me to know that you found value in the last video. I'll be taking your feedback and shoving it up and using it to improve future tutorials. Anyways, we're back at Metal Fools to tackle water and aquifers. It's a slightly hazardous topic, and I myself am notorious to losing a dwarf or two to the setup, so we'll see how this goes. Before we get cracking though, I do recommend you using DFHack, purely for some quality of life improvements you'll thank me for later. I think it gets a lot of shit from dwarven purists for having the word hack in the name, but trust me, it'll add just a couple more brain cells to the dwarves, and in my opinion that is worth the download in and of itself. So from last time, we know there is a light aquifer we smoothed through below the fortress. You can see the wet tiles after clicking the pickaxe tool at the bottom of the screen. So we now know which layer we want to aim for, but just keep in mind, aquifers are generally localized similar to veins, so don't just expect the entirety of a floor to be soggy as because we know it's near the stairway. We'll build the well a few tiles from there. I'll mine out a new room near the tavern, and to the south we'll have the area we can keep the wells. I recommend building an indoor well for a number of reasons, but the most obvious would be for a safe indoor water source without dwarves needing to embrace the hazards of nature outside. Also, it's winter right now, and the river has frozen, which gives us even more incentive to get this sorted out. What you're going to want to do is dig some stairs deep within the aquifer. This gives access for the dwarves working on the project. Then channel out the surroundings so we have ample space for the water to fill. Make sure to have 2 channeled holes at the top of this for the wells to actually get placed on. Press play and let your cheeky little dwarves hollow out your creation. So because of the aquifer, annoyingly enough, they should get to a certain point, then cancel the order. So, to protect you from yourself, digging destination is automatically cancelled when hitting whetstone in order to not flood your fort while you're not looking. This isn't useful though when digging down, because if we don't micromanage it, we'll lose the ability to dig entirely because of flooding. So you can pause and quickly keep re-adding the channeling. Or if you got DFHack, like I told you to, you just click this handy dandy button to tell the dwarves to keep digging even if it's damp. Time is of the essence here because if you are too slow, a 1 tile can quickly fill and become inaccessible. You'll see now the water will start to flood in, creating our perfect infinite water source. I'll just smooth the top floor for aesthetic purposes and cover up the now unneeded stairs. If anyone falls down the well, I'll probably uncover this to let them out. Finish this build by creating 2 wells from the build menu. They require buckets, rope, and blocks. If you're missing any of these, just throw up a work order to fulfill it. If you need a reminder on basics like work orders, check out my beginner guide or click the clipboard bottom left and work it out. If your fort is set up properly, you'll probably already have the workshops required to make these things. I like to assign it as a water source as well. I'm pretty sure they will just use it regardless, but I like to have stuff assigned anyway. Remember, you should always assign the block to stand on to for designations like this. Think of it as like an operational zone or whatever. You can see our boy, Adil, is already using the new well to clean some beer off himself. We probably need to get soap in at some point, maybe later. For the next part of this tutorial, I want to make some pipe sections, giant screws, and floodgates from the clipboard work order menu. We'll need the floodgate first if you want to prioritize that, and mechanisms so you can actually install them and hook them up to a lever. It's only water though, so any material here will be just fine. If you were working with lava, then all submerged elements need to be lava safe. Remember that. I'm going to command the vertically challenged citizens to mine out a big area to fill with water in the aquifer. Oh, and make sure to keep damp mining on if you want to avoid an aneurysm. I'm not quite sure how I want to use this, so I'm just going to keep my options open. I'm going to mine out a draining outlet for the water to leave via floodgate, but before I drop that down, I'm going to smooth and carve a fortification. Not mandatory, but it just allows water to pass without it allowing debris to flow through it. You'll also have noticed a quality of life from DFHack. Aquifer tiles are 2 drips, heavy aquifer is 3, and wet rock is just 1. Great for if you need to know what to smooth out. Not sponsored, by the way. I just appreciate it. Let's hook the new floodgate up to a lever so we can release this when the time is right. Gotta act fast so the place doesn't flood, making it inaccessible before everything is connected. I don't want all these rocks to flow down to the outlet, so I'll create a dump in the zoning menu and select all of the rocks with the bin icon. I didn't do this with the wells because they lacked any flow for me to be concerned about. Okay, I'm a dumbass. I didn't realize they would just yeet it off the edge. Make sure your zone is tucked away, otherwise these dummies start throwing rocks on each other's heads. Remember to unlock and retrash anything in the wrong spot. Of course, time is of the essence here. Now, as that's all digged out, I want to add a second area for it to flow into. As you've undoubtedly worked out, there's no right or wrong way of doing this. Just do whatever, but remember you'll want to smooth the walls of this one before you dig it out fully. The way I accomplished smoothing was to just hollow it slowly in parts, like an inverted pyramid, smoothing as I go, because otherwise it'll leak and annoy me. Also similar to how I segmented the first section from second, I'm going to create a long tunnel to the map edge. So I'll floodgate this off eventually, but it's just in case, like, I don't know, maybe I want to expand this system or need it for something. I'll be able to empty this area easily. If you smooth and carve a fortification into the map edge, water can basically leave and cease to exist. Gonna make sure to also dump this shit too, in the same way as before, clearing the rocks of the system. Then just set up your new floodgate and lever as before. Also, it looks weird visually, but dwarves and liquid can move diagonally. But with liquids, it basically resets pressure and flow speed. Gonna put a wall here to illustrate this. So when the floodgate opens, the water moves slower through the outlet. Hi, future Von here. Don't do this. I regretted it immediately. You'll see why in a sec. So now the levers are all hooked up, it's ready to release floodgate number 1. You'll see our mineral water flowing into the system. So it's filled the second area with water, only to the height of the floodgate though. To be honest, I kind of forgot it'd do that. We'll dig down a bit, and now we can place some gear assemblies 2 tiles apart for the new water wheels. Just needs a mechanism, but you'll have lots of those already. You need 3 logs for a water wheel, and just place it next to the built gear assemblies hanging into the water. You'll see they're working because they have a little animation to them. Pretty sure this is because we have a little bit of flow to the water. Like, this only works if water has motion rather than like a well or a reservoir or something. You'll see each wheel generates 100 power, but if we go back into the machines and fluids construction menu, you can connect these with axles. This combines the power values, making the wheels total 300 in our case. You just need wood to make these. Now you may be asking me, Von, why do we want to make energy anyway? I have no idea, mate, to be honest. I tend to use it for a millstone, but you can also use it for minecart automation or pumps. Remember to make a couple millstones first in the work orders before you can place them, and either hook up to the axle or assembly directly. You can use the millstone to make stuff like slurry, flowers, dyes, or pastes. You can also do this in a quern, but millstones are way faster. I mean, you can always just import these with trading, but like you can do that with anything really. So anyways, this is what I tend to use water wheels for. Dwarven reactors. It's a lot easier than it sounds. It's going to be our form of energy on the floor above that well area. You need 2 floors for this, a space for 2 water wheels, so that's like 2 by 3, with an upper non-channeled area for the pump for it to be connected to. This works because the energy output is vastly higher than the parts required, breaking the laws of human thermodynamics, but evidently not dwarven thermodynamics. The pump is energized by water being thrown into the system. The pump then slurps from the south, spraying water from under the wheels to north and above, then spinning the wheels some more ad infinitum. I'll just block it in a bit because there will be lots of water flow, and I want no risk of splashing the water out to eventually power down the machine. You got a couple options to fill this with water, like buckets with a pond destination or pump stacks, but I feel like pumping water from the basement is way more trouble than it's worth. There is apparently an aquifer above this spot randomly. How lucky of me. I'll floodgate one side of it, but have the other side accessible for some little dwarf with his bucket. And now we have the painstaking task of waiting for this little bugger to go between bucket and well a few times, hoping he is fast enough to fill it without it evaporating. We'll have a little help from the aquifer area too, allowing it to very slowly fill up. It's going to take some time. In the meantime, I'm going to see if I can make this a little safer. Who knows, we might want to pump from it at some point. I think the middle floor is weak because of the bar tiles. Hang in there, Sarvesh. We'll get you out. I'll pull the levers to drain this out for him. Oh, for fuck's sake, it's too slow. Who could have possibly seen this coming? Guys, I have a confession to make. Every single fortress I've ever had that utilizes water has had some death and accidents while setting it up. So, thanks for watching anyway. Pour one out for Sarvesh. Bad luck, buddy. So in hindsight, having a slow exit flow is probably kind of shit. I'll get rid of this block when it's drained. I'll definitely keep draining it though. I'll also give it a little help with channeling around it too. We need to pull Sarvesh's bloated corpse from the pool before he starts haunting the place. Anyways, back upstairs. While Tobal does bucket runs, we can set up the contraption that'll actually flow water around the room below. Gonna channel a load of holes into the floor with 2 tiles between and place screw pumps in a way that they are feeding into each other. The idea behind this is once they are all powered, they will instantly pass any water from behind them through the pump into the next pump ahead in a clockwise motion. So visually just make sure there are never 2 screw pumps facing into each other, then it should be all good. Gonna also make sure they are all connected with axles and assemblies, so they all get power. Dropping some snazzy bronze bars too, so the holes are nicely covered. These are all just found in constructions, by the way. Aesthetics are important, of course. On the floor below, put walls around one of the holes in the middle of the room, because we'll make that a pond as well. You want it to have 2 out of 7 in water fill, so it doesn't evaporate. Then you can remove the pond destination. I've realized this tutorial seems way more fiddly than the beginner guide last time.
I'm sorry.
The payoff is worth it though, I promise. Now once your contraption is full enough, it'll start automatically. Don't remove the well destination yet though. You'll want it more filled, so the total power is a stable 400. Use an axle or mechanism to connect it to the mist generator and watch the magic happen. Now mist should be being pumped around the room, filling their bearded heads with happy thoughts. You can remove the walls as they're no longer needed. Ideally, this machine never turns off. But if anything were to happen, you would need to wall up and refill it again. These areas make perfect meeting halls, so that's exactly what I'll do. And we can cover up the damp, muddy patches with statues of our legacy. You'll soon see how happy this makes the dwarves. Everyone who visits this room will get happy thoughts from being near a waterfall. How cute. Oh yeah, don't let this trick you though. Not all mist is built equal. I embarked on a beach once to find out unfortunately sea mist does nothing for dwarves. This kind of mist is great though, and of course any other form of waterfall. Alright, feels like this is the last bit to cover on water stuff. You guessed it, pump stacks. Basically, this just takes the idea that a pump can pass to another pump pretty instantly, and the pump above is capable of drinking from a tile not only behind it, but below it. We're gonna box in the nose of the pump stack, and then dig a channel revealing that output on the floor above. I think I'll send it back on itself, back into Reservoir 1. It'll drain its own water and power down the water wheels automatically, giving us access to Sarvesh too, which is ideal. Just remember to have a second channel dug above the gear assembly, so you can access the power from the upper floor. You'll need this for pump 2. Also, while building all this, make sure to suspend on building the first pump, just because it'll start automatically and throw water everywhere while you're not ready. We'll complete this when the upper floor is done. This was only placed for visibility of where we're working. Throw a gear assembly above the one on the lower floor by the water wheel. Ideally, I place the pump lower to avoid diagonal leaking, but I'm fine with this. Oh god, look who's back. Wait, are all ghosts gelded, or is it just this one? Anyway, so our abomination pump stack is all set. Let's just resume construction on the bottom one and let it do its magic. So as I thought, it would leak, but hey, water is moving in the right-ish direction. Also, it seems to have switched off. Good news, they got the corpse. I do think actually the flooding might be due to the other side being full to the brim. I don't know, maybe. Anyways, with everything finally covered, that's it for this video. Again, I really hope this helped. It takes ages to put these together as I'm a very sporadic thinker at heart. So, if you enjoyed the content, I hope you consider subscribing. And if you have any feedback or comments, I'd love to hear them. I try to reply to every comment, and I really love to know what you think. I also stream on Twitch every week. Check me out at twitch.tv/VonGalactic for more. And with that, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.